In China's past, from 1600 BC to 221 BC, the Dark Ages stand out as a period shrouded in mystery and fear. This era, often overshadowed by the grandeur of later dynasties, holds tales that stir a deep sense of unease. It was a time when myths and harsh realities intertwined, giving birth to legends both eerie and mesmerizing. This age was rich in ancient mysticism, where the line between the living and ghostly realms was disturbingly blurred. In this lesser-known slice of history, tales that are both haunting and captivating have survived, echoing across the ages. So, are you ready to see what unfolded in that era? The chain of violence and dark practices began with the Shang dynasty, an epoch marked by its ominous and chilling rituals. The Shang dynasty, a pivotal era in China's Dark Ages, is notorious for its dark practices, especially the chilling rituals of human sacrifice. These grim ceremonies, though not commonplace, occurred under specific dire circumstances. The Shang were known to bury members of the royal household with their chariots, horses, and even their charioteers, a stark testament to their beliefs in the afterlife. Prisoners of war captured by Shang armies faced a fate far more harrowing. They were often enslaved or, in some cases, doomed to be human sacrifices. The two main forms of human sacrifice practiced were renxing and renxun. Renxing, which translates to human offerings, was particularly brutal. Victims were often mutilated before being offered in sacrifice, their pain and suffering seen as a necessary part of appeasing the gods or ancestors. Renxun, another form of human sacrifice, involved rituals where victims might be buried alive or killed in mass ceremonies, their blood spilling into the earth as an offering to the supernatural forces the Shang revered. The Zhao dynasty, following the Shang, also had its share of brutal leadership and political turmoil. The weakening of centralized power during the Zhao era led to frequent wars among states, each vying for supremacy. The Zhao rulers, wielding the concept of the mandate of heaven, often justified their conquest and rule as divinely ordained. This mandate was not just a political tool, but a spiritual weapon, used to justify the overthrow of the Shang and enforce the Zhao's rule. The violence that came with such transitions of power often involved not just the battlefield, but also political assassinations and purges, as rulers sought to solidify their power and eliminate threats to their reign. Now, there is another aspect of violence in that era. The Hulijing, or fox spirits, often depicted as beautiful young women, are known to be both benevolent and malevolent. These mystical beings capable of acquiring human form became immortal and magical creatures if they absorb enough energy from the moon or sun. Their dual nature adds an eerie unpredictability to their encounters with humans. The Jiangshi, embodying the darkest nightmares of the undead, haunt the folklore of China's Dark Ages with a sinister and blood-curdling presence. These grotesque creatures, a terrifying amalgamation of zombies and vampires, rise from their graves with a singular, chilling purpose: to drain the living of their vital essence, or qi. With rigor mortis rendering their bodies rigid, these abominations move in a haunting, jerky manner, their arms outstretched as they seek their next victim. In the dead of night, the Jiangshi emerge from their shadowy realms, their eyes glowing a sinister red, and their long, sharp claws ready to strike. Their ghastly visages, with green, decaying skin stretched taut over protruding bones, strike terror into the hearts of those unfortunate enough to cross their path. It is said that their presence is often preceded by a cold, creeping mist and a faint, eerie sound of their stiff limbs dragging across the ground. Legend tells of these creatures targeting unsuspecting villagers, creeping into homes where the living sleep, unaware of the looming horror. The Jiangxi, driven by a relentless hunger for qi, latch onto their victims, their icy, death-like grip paralyzing as they suck the life force from their prey, leaving behind nothing but a withered husk. The next and last one is ancient China's mysterious world of ancestor worship and magic, where rituals and sorcery were a powerful part of life. Ancestor worship in ancient China, dating back to the Neolithic period, was a deeply ingrained and enduring practice central to Chinese society and government. It was supported by the principles of Confucianism, emphasizing the importance of familial relation. In the Shang and Zhao dynasties, ancestors, especially of royal families, were thought to reside in heaven within a hierarchy of spirit gods. These ancestors could supposedly be contacted via a shaman, and they had dedicated temples within royal palace complexes. The belief was that each person possessed a spirit that required offerings. To avoid the trouble of a wandering, hungry ghost, families provided regular offerings of food, drink, and incense at family cemeteries, temples, or shrines. Elaborate ceremonies with musicians, dancers, and precious gifts marked the offerings to the imperial ancestors. Accompanying these ancestral practices were darker elements of Chinese sorcery, particularly the magic of gu or jin kan. Gu, an ancient practice dating back to the Shang dynasty, involved venom-based poison. The preparation of gu potions required the poison of various creatures like snakes, centipedes, and scorpions, sealed in a container where they would fight and consume each other, with the survivor accumulating all of the toxins. This sinister magic was used for harm, sickness, or even death. The gu spirit, according to folklore, could transform into different animals, embodying the evil power of ancestors that could cause diseases in life. Gu was also used for casting harmful spells and affecting the physical and mental conditions of individuals. For instance, in 601 BC, Zhu Ke of Jin was removed from his office due to Gu-induced mental illness. The Hanshu chronicles scandals involving Gu magic at the court of Emperor Wu, including the case of Empress Qin Zhao's daughter, accused of practicing Wu Gu and Mai Gu, leading to the execution of more than 300 people. These practices, bearing a resemblance to voodoo, often resulted in large-scale tragedies, with one plot in 91 BCE leading to tens of thousands of deaths.